In this episode, we are going to talk about IB physics and its challenges. So, transitioning over from IGCSE physics, I've noticed that it's like a stepping stone. In IGCSE, you learn a lot of different definitions, but don't go into detail about what they do, unlike IB. I've learned that based on my IGCSE knowledge, I can't get a perfect score on a topic-based test solely on that IGCSE knowledge. In IB Physics, there are two papers. One paper which is only multiple choice, and the other which is short answer questions and calculation questions. In IB, you are given a formula guide which has many basic formulas and values you'll need to know for your test. However, for most of the questions, you need to derive certain formulas and substitute other formulas into questions. This means that questions are not as easy and can often appear deceptive. This higher difficulty in questions results in lower grade boundaries, resulting in a low 70%, which could equal a 7. Now passing on to Daniel to talk about the IB syllabus.
So in IB, the syllabus topics are a lot more in-depth compared to GCSE. I've noticed that IB physics is a lot more about the why rather than the what or the how. So we go a lot more in depth into specific topics like the forces and those sort of things. But specifically, we have the difference between standard and higher level. Higher level has four unique topics in it compared to standard level, which has more of just building upon the basics you learn in GCSE. Whereas in higher level, you have stuff like more in-depth wave stuff like harmonic motion, Doppler effect. You've got more in-depth fields like gravitational electric. You've got more in-depth power generation stuff like electromagnetic induction, and more stuff to do with nuclear physics, being the main difference between standard and higher, and why you might choose to do higher. Also, at the start of a year, your teacher will choose an optional 13th topic, or well, an optional extra topic, I should say, which can be anything from relativity to imaging to fluid or any sort of dynamics and astrology, all of which have their own higher level topic within them. Specifically, there are also a lot of harder questions when it comes to the IB syllabus, where the questions aren't as transparent with how they want you to answer them. You have to derive formulas, sometimes using multiple formulas. You have to choose what information from the question is the most important and figure out how to use it to get an answer, which leads to the reduced grade boundaries due to this higher difficulty of questions. Lastly, moving on to Jeremias for the IA.
Hi, I'm Jeremias. I take higher level, and I'll be talking about the physics internal assessment. I'm currently in the process of completing mine, as is with all of us here today. Essentially, the IA is a study into a topic and research question of your choice, similar to experiments conducted throughout year 12 in class, which you must conduct an experiment and produce a write-up. The difference between in-class assignments and the IA is that the IA is much more in-depth and much more rigorous, in the resulting in a 12-page report at the end. My research question for the IA is, how does the specific heat capacity of a coffee solution vary with the mass of sugar in it? So yeah, basically what you can study can be anything related to physics that somehow ties into the course and syllabus, as long as you are measuring the relationship between two variables that you can conduct an experiment or simulation for, will be acceptable. There's not much difference between the IA and higher and standard level compared to other subjects. I suppose if you are in standard level and you wish to do something related to a higher level topic, this may be possible, although I would not recommend it, as it is easier to obtain more marks in something that you are better versed in. Even for higher level students, the standard topics that everyone covers are easier, so if you want to make your life easier, I recommend choosing one of these. You will not be penalized for the topic you choose, as every topic has the potential for full marks in the IA. To note on the process of the IA, you must first produce a research question and detail how you are going to conduct an experiment. Then you do the experiment and collect your results. Then probably the most important part is the evaluation of these results and the experiment as a whole. The reason why I say that this is the most important part is because you can have bad data or something goes wrong in your experiment that you didn't account for and still reach high marks because you evaluated well and showed good processing of your method and the data. One grading criteria which a lot of students seem to get caught up on is personal engagement, which is only worth 3 marks. Personal engagement does not mean that you have to have a personal interest in the specific heat capacity of a coffee solution prior to doing your experiment. Instead, you can show personal engagement by producing an original method, not just stealing one from the internet, or by showing heavy involvement in the process that you use to gather data. And this is by adapting the method based on your pilot study. As is with all internal assessments, it is worth 20% of your overall grade, and these marks are ones that you can control to an extent, and you do have your teacher there to assist and guide you, so I would recommend that you put maximum effort into securing these marks as they can really boost your grade leading up to the exam. Thank you for listening to this episode on physics in IB.